Hi everyone, this is Jonathan Williamson from Blender Cookie, and I wanted to give you a quick demo of something that we've been working on for a while now called Polystrips. So Polystrips is the second retopology tool that we've been developing. If you're not familiar with the first was Contours, which is a tool that has been selling on CG Cookie and now the Blender market for quite a while now. We've been very happy with it. It allows you to very quickly retopologize cylindrical forms, but is very limited in what it can do. If you're not familiar with Contours, check out my other videos, check out Blender Cookie, check out the Blender Market, or even just ask in the comments. There's lots of stuff about it. I can direct you wherever you want to go. But you should know that it's quite limited. You know, you can do arms, you can do legs, you can kind of do torsos, but that's about it. And you also can't do a lot with it in that you can't change the edge flow. For example, if I just start draw contours here and I work on her neck, you know, this works very nicely. It's very quick, it's very efficient. I can go in, I can control the loops. It's fantastic. But what it doesn't allow me to do is go anything beyond a cylinder. So it only gives you a starting point, a very fast starting point, albeit, but a starting point nonetheless. So the next step is Polystrips. So the idea behind Polystrips is that when you're doing an advanced or a complex retopology, such as a face, you know, some of the most advanced, you really need very good control over your edge flow. And so the idea is to design a tool that allows you to basically map out the topology very quickly and then fill it in using either manual tools or perhaps even a third tool that we might also be working on. So rather than continue blabbering, let me just show you what it does. So first of all, I'm just going to click Polystrips, and I should also say, as a forewarning, everything you see here is still in alpha testing, so basically anything and everything is subject to change. The visualization will absolutely change. The widget handles and things like that, you know, some of the actual interaction that you're going to see is subject to change and we're working on the design and things like that. So right now, basically what you see is functional development testing, but it's not polished and user ready. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to click Draw Polystrips. And now I have a little brush, so I'm in a Polystrips modal, and I can change my brush size just by pressing F, just like we can in other Blender sculpt and texture paint modes. And now to do this, I can simply just left click and drag, draw out a stroke where I want to put down a strip, and just like that, it creates a very nice, evenly distributed quad polystrip. That's it. If I go ahead and hit enter, it generates my mesh, and I'm good to go. That's kind of awesome. Let's take it a bit further though. So let me just delete that and I'm going to start again. So I'm going to draw Polystrips. This time I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush and I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to follow, you know, put in the raccoon mask of sorts. And okay, that looks pretty good. This time you'll notice my angle wasn't very good right here. So why don't we just select that endpoint and now we can rotate that. Or we can press G and grab it. Now, having done that, that shifted this down a little bit because it's automatically snapping to the surface. So let's grab this handle here, which this is an example of, you know, the just testing feature. So this isn't the final UI. And we'll just pull that up just a little bit, and you can see it immediately tweaks the surface very nicely. Next, down here, you can see that it's automatically put in a junction for us. So basically, it's detected the angle of our stroke and tried to account for the angle with a poly junction. So in this case, it's put in an L. You know, we're coming down like this, and then we change direction. Well, this is all fine and dandy in some cases, but we don't really want it right here. So let's change that junction. So we're just going to hit Control-C and change it to a different type. We can press Control-C again to change it, again. And so we can just then toggle through the different junctions depending on what we want. So this is what we want in this case, so that looks really good. Having selected this junction, I could go ahead and change the loops here. I can adjust that handle. I could maybe go ahead and scale this junction, which will then reduce or increase the poly count here because the strips make the assumption that you want a evenly distributed amount of quads along your strip, just because that's a good general rule of thumb when you're retopologizing something, particularly if it's for animation. You want nice square polygons. Now we are going to add the ability to basically select a loop or a strip just like this and force the poly count up or down so that you could make, you know, more rectangular polys or whatnot to have more fine-tuned control over the distribution, but it's not there yet. So this is great. So I've put in a stroke and I've been able to adjust that stroke. That's really cool. But obviously with the topology, like we don't want to have to draw one stroke, hit enter, draw another one, hit enter, draw another one, hit enter, and then combine them all into one mesh. That's really slow. So instead, what we have is that we have the ability for multiple strips. So I can now go in here and maybe I'll draw in one around the lips, say something like this. And okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe I'll pull this one back and maybe I'll take this junction down. Now it did automatically detect a junction. I may not want that junction, so you know, if the junction code got a little overzealous and added a junction you don't want, just press Control D and that will dissolve that junction. Now notice that did alter this one, so I can just press Control C and convert that junction type there. Okay, I could go ahead and move this back a little bit here. Maybe I'll rotate that. Move it up there. Okay, that starts to work. Maybe I'll rotate this one. And then, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and start bringing down some of our other loops here. Let's go ahead and scale our brush up a little bit. And let's take this in right about there. That looks pretty good. This may be a little large. I'll scale these endpoints down like that. And then let's just draw out another one here. And check it out. It automatically snaps end to end. But not only can we do end to end, we can also do like this. Oh, that time I didn't quite get it, so let's just delete that. And this time I'll do something like that. And it's, well, having a little trouble there. See, this is why I warn you that it's alpha. But there we go, automatically snaps. You know what, let's go ahead and do this one too. So I'm gonna scale these down a little bit. And then why don't we just take this in like that and snap those together. We'll tweak this a bit. And we're starting to get a really nice map of our topology. Well, let's now do the eyes perhaps. So here, let's go in. But you know what? Before I do the eyes, this is a really good time to demo one other thing, and that is switching to a tablet. So right now I've been drawing with a mouse. But for anyone that is comfortable sculpting or texturing, you really like working with a tablet. And one of the things that'd be really nice in here is, you know, when you're drawing with a mouse, we have equal width across the entire width of the stroke. But when you're working on a face, you don't have equal width basically anywhere in any of your face loops. You're gonna have varying width depending on the area. So we now have pressure sensitivity. Now I must give a big call out to Anthony. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce her last name, Anthony Ryokulis. I slaughtered that, I know that I did. Anthony is one of the core Blender developers. He works a lot on the sculpting system, the texture painting system. He's doing pie menus. And at our request, he very kindly put in Python API exposure to pressure sensing for tablets. So now, thanks to Anthony, we now have pressure sensitivity for Polystrips. So I can go in here, start drawing, and you'll notice that it's in the pressure is indicated based on the brush size and the little numerical output. The numerical output is simply for testing, but it's there. So then I can draw that. I can go and select my endpoint, rotate it down a little bit, and then why don't we put in another one like that, snap them end to end. My junctions I didn't get my angles quite right, so I'll just convert those junctions to a different type there, and that starts to work pretty good. Now here, this gets a little bit slow because basically the grab mode pulls the handles along with it, but I could just hit Control G, and that would then only take the junction and not the individual handles. Now sometimes it does get a little bit funky, and you can see we do things like that. So, you know, that needs a little tweaking in there, but you know, with a little bit more love, it'll get there very, very quickly. I have to give a major shout out to both John Dennings and Patrick Moore, who are the actual coders behind this. They're doing amazing work, and this would not be possible without their work. So big shout out to them. Okay, so that's starting to come really close. Let's go a little bit further. Let's maybe, you know, extend these a little bit. I'll increase my brush size. Just take that in. Oops, that one didn't want to snap. So we'll just take that one in a little bit more. I could go ahead and dissolve that junction because I really don't need it. I might snap this one up, and then let's add in another junction or another strip there. That looks good. This is a great place to have a junction. But you know what? What if we didn't have a junction there, and then we realized we just don't have enough control with this handle to get the profile that we want, because we really want something more like this? Well, you can just select an edge now, and you can go in here, hover over the point that you want to add a junction, and just press a key, and it will add a new junction for you. So now I can go in, I can adjust this just like I want. Then I can select this one, bring it over, and get exactly the profile that I want. You know, that might be a little bit extreme, but we'll leave it. I'll take this down, bring that up there. You know what, why don't we... Notice, by the way, this has been one complete session. I've never left Polystrips yet. This has been a single modal this entire time. I don't really know how John and Patrick managed to get it as stable as they did, but it's kind of awesome. So, you know, I'll put that in. This junction, you know, we can move over here like this. Move that there. Okay, that looks good. Maybe we don't need that junction. We'll go ahead and dissolve it. And then maybe we'll, you know, put another one like that. We could put another one like that. You know, just basically starting to kind of map things out. Why don't we go ahead and connect. Oops, that one didn't quite work for me. We'll just connect those two. It's getting a little finicky in there. So I can just dissolve that one. Bring this one around. Hit Control-C, change the type. And, you know, it's being a little finicky, so why don't I just delete that one, and we'll go ahead and take this one up a bit more, and then we could take that over like, well, I might be having an issue with the size. That's okay. So, you know, we can play with that a little bit more. Maybe I would put in that, and we can just continue on. So basically, using Polystrips, we're able to go in and very quickly lay down basically the map for our topology, which then allows us to quickly just fill in everything else. You know, once I have this done, I can fill in the rest incredibly quickly. Now, like I said in the beginning, we are working on one more follow-up tool after this. It's not in development yet, but it will be, which is basically to allow filling in of patches. So such that you'll be able to go in, you'll create your map just like this, and then simply tell it, you know what, fill this, fill this, fill this, fill this, and be done, such that in just, you know, a couple of sessions, you have a very, very nice, complete layout. So that's Polystrips. It's in alpha testing right now. We're hoping to have a beta ready, you know, ASAP. I don't know precisely when it will be done, but we're really shooting for the next few weeks. If you're interested in this, let us know in the comments. If you have any suggestions, questions, or anything of the sorts, don't be afraid to speak out. Reach out to us on Twitter, either via Blender Cookie or via me at Carter2422. Comment in the comments here on the video or anywhere else that you can get in contact with us. Let us know what you think and look forward to hearing your feedback.